Tyler is on your couch. He drove over without calling first. He is turning a coffee mug around in his hands, like it is the only thing keeping them still. He has not asked yet, but you already know why he is here, because 10 years ago, you would have been the one asking. What happened between then and now has a name, even though almost nobody around you ever saw it happening. Some people would later call it the quiet position, though back then, you never called it anything at all. It was not luck, it was not a bonus. It was one decision, repeated without an audience, for 10 straight years, that most people mistake for someone doing nothing at all. Stay through this, because the version of you sitting across from Tyler right now already knows how the story ends. What you do not know yet is everything that had to happen quietly, one ordinary year at a time, long before you ever got here. Rewind. You are 24 years old, and you have just gotten the kind of job you were supposed to want. A cubicle with your name printed on a plastic sign. A badge that opens the front door before anyone has to buzz you in. Every 2 weeks, a number lands in your account, and every 2 weeks, it is gone before the next one arrives. Not on anything wild. Rent, a car payment, a phone plan you upgraded because the old one felt slow. Lunches you barely remember eating. You are not broke. You would never call yourself broke. You are something else. A version of fine that cannot survive one flat tire without flinching. And you do not know that yet, because nobody ever showed you the difference between fine and safe. Tyler sits 2 desks over. Same start date, same salary, same free coffee machine that breaks down every other week. 6 months in, Tyler leases a black pickup truck, brand new. Payments he calls nothing whenever anyone brings it up. 2 guys from the warehouse walk over just to look at it on his first day driving it in. Tyler stands next to it like a man already halfway to somewhere better. You stand next to your 7-year-old sedan like a man standing still, because you are, and some part of you already knows it. One Friday, an older man named Walter, who has worked the same floor longer than you have been alive, catches you checking your account balance in the break room, wincing before you even close the app. He does not ask what is wrong, he just says one thing before the microwave beeps. There is a difference between looking like you are ahead and actually being ahead, and almost nobody finds out which one they were until it is too late to change it. Then he takes his lunch out of the fridge and walks away. That night you do something nobody ever taught you how to do. You open your laptop, and instead of looking at what is left over at the end of the month, you decide what leaves first. Before rent, before a truck you do not have, before anything else. You move a piece of every paycheck somewhere your future can reach it and your impulses cannot. You do not tell Tyler. You do not tell anyone. You write the number down on a piece of paper, open the calendar hanging in your kitchen, and circle a date so far away it barely feels real. You fold the paper and put it in a drawer. You did not quit your job. You did not make an announcement. You just quietly started paying the future first and let everyone keep believing you were the one falling behind. That is the whole of level 1, and almost nobody watching you live it would have called it a decision at all. If this is landing so far, a like actually helps more than you would think. It is the only way a video like this finds the people who are living it right now without a name for it yet. You are 26 now. The truck in the parking lot has already been traded twice for a newer one. Yours has not moved. A friend's birthday dinner puts 12 people around a long table, and the question makes its way around the way it always does. So what are you up to these days? What is next for you? The guy across from you just got promoted to regional. The woman next to him just closed on a condo downtown. They have answers, and their answers have weight to them. It reaches you, and you say you are still at the same desk, and things are fine. You watch the table do the small polite thing faces do when an answer disappoints them, and the conversation moves on a beat too fast, already halfway to someone else's news. You drive home and you feel it, and it is not poverty. It is something worse. You feel like less. For years, your job title was the answer to who you were, and somewhere in the last 2 years you quietly stopped needing it to be, and you have absolutely no idea what goes in its place instead. You do not know it yet, but you just survived the hardest part of the whole thing, and it had nothing to do with money at all. The account sitting in that drawer does not care what you said at dinner tonight. It only cares what you did on Friday. You are 28. Tyler parks the truck, a newer one now, right next to your sedan on a Monday morning, and looks at your car, then at you, and his face is not cruel, which somehow makes it worse. "You good, man," he says. "Like financially, you good." You tell him you are good. He nods slowly, the way people nod when they have already decided not to believe you. "If you ever need anything, just ask," he says, and walks inside like he has already filed you under a category he feels bad about. At lunch, 2 coworkers do not notice you sit down behind them. One of them says, "I feel bad for him. He works so hard. Maybe he has got family he is helping out or something." You do not correct them. You cannot. You have more sitting quietly in that account than both of them combined, and there is no sentence you can say out loud that explains that, without sounding like you are bragging about a number nobody in the room can see anyway. So you eat at your desk. You say nothing. You let them believe whatever keeps the conversation moving without you in it. Nobody noticing was starting to become the entire point, even if some days it did not feel like a win at all. This is the part nobody ever warns you about. You do everything right, and for a long stretch it feels worse, not better. There is no round of applause waiting for a deposit nobody sees you make. If you are not subscribed yet, now is a good time. New videos land every week. You are 29. Your best friend buys a house and sends the photo to the group chat. Keys in one hand, a sold sign in the other. 40 people react within the hour. Congratulations pour in from names you have not talked to in months. You stare at your phone longer than you mean to. You type something, delete it, type it again. You cannot match that. Not this year. Maybe not for several more years after this one. That night you take the folded paper out of the drawer and look at the date you circled at 24. It is still far away. You have done the responsible thing for 5 straight years, and what you have to show for it is a date on a calendar and a number you are not allowed to say out loud without it sounding strange to whoever is listening. You lie awake, and for the first time, a thought arrives fully formed and will not leave you alone. Maybe they were right about you. Maybe you traded the good years for a spreadsheet nobody will ever read. You do not know it yet, but on the other side of town, Tyler is feeling the exact opposite of this right now. And that is precisely the problem with judging your own progress by what you can see on somebody else's face. You are 30. The strangest part is that you miss it. The noise of the race, the leaderboard, the bonus you could actually talk about at dinner, the title that told you exactly where you stood without you ever having to guess. The quiet version of winning has no scoreboard. Nobody claps when you do not buy the thing. One night you open the finance app on your phone just to look at a newer truck, financing available, a low monthly payment highlighted in friendly green letters. Your thumb sits over the button. You picture pulling into the lot. You picture 2 guys walking over just to look at it. You picture feeling, just once, like you are the one who is ahead for a change. It would cost you everything you have quietly built over 6 years. And for almost 30 seconds, you do not care about any of that. You just want to feel like you are winning something, anything. The way Tyler always looks like he is winning everything. Your thumb stays there, hovering, in the dark, longer than you would ever admit to another person. You do not know it yet, but in 3 weeks, the decision gets taken out of both your hands entirely, and the app on your phone will not matter at all. You are 31. It happens on a Thursday. A restructuring sweeps half the floor out by lunch, and you and Tyler both get the same email within minutes of each other, sitting at desks 12 feet apart. This is the moment that ends people who have been living on the edge the whole time without ever realizing it. Standing in the parking lot holding a cardboard box, for one long second, you think it might end you too. The account is there, 7 years of quiet deposits, sitting patiently in a drawer that was never about this exact Thursday and somehow was about nothing else the entire time. It is not enough to coast forever. It is only enough to survive, if you protect it and refuse to touch it out of panic. So you make the choice that actually guts you. You give up the apartment and move into a smaller one across town, the kind with thinner walls and a longer walk from the parking spot to the door. You cancel the trip you had finally let yourself plan. You sell the guitar you never quite had time to learn properly, the one thing you owned purely because it made you happy. That night, in an apartment that does not feel like yours yet, you do the math again. The date you circled at 24 is now further away than the day you started counting toward it. 7 years of being quietly overlooked, and you have ended up somewhere smaller than where you began. For the first time, you do not think they were wrong about you. You think maybe you were wrong about yourself. You almost drain it to zero. You almost decide the whole thing was a story you told yourself to feel better about, losing quietly instead of loudly. You do not. You take the smaller apartment instead of the debt. And Tyler keeps the truck, keeps posting. From the outside, Tyler handles all of this better than you do. He never downsizes. He never looks like he is struggling for a single day of it. He does it the only way he knows how. A little more debt, a job grabbed in a panic because rent is due Friday. The whole picture held up by a hole getting quietly deeper underneath him where nobody watching can see it. Everyone at that office thinks you are the one who fell. Tyler still looks like he is swimming just fine. He is not. He is drowning in a way nobody can see from the parking lot, because looking like he is swimming was always the entire game he was playing. Nobody noticed you were the only one who was actually safe the whole time. They were too busy noticing you had moved to a smaller place across town. If you want us to walk through a number that looks closer to yours in a future video, drop it in the comments below. It helps decide what we cover next. You go back to work eventually, but this time it is a job you chose on purpose, not one you grabbed because the rent notice was sitting on the counter staring at you. You could afford to wait for the right offer. That had never once been true for you before this point in your life. Slowly, something shifts that you cannot quite put your finger on at first. Time stops being the thing you are always running out of. A flat tire becomes a Tuesday errand instead of a small emergency that ruins your whole week. A difficult boss becomes a situation you can walk away from instead of a cage you are locked inside of with no key. The number in that account was never impressive by itself, not the kind of number anyone would react to in a group chat. It bought the one thing nobody standing on the edge will ever get to have: options. The ability to say no to something. The ability to simply wait for the right thing instead of grabbing the nearest thing. The date you circled at 24 comes and goes on an ordinary Tuesday, and you do not even notice until that evening, looking up from your desk at the end of the day, realizing quietly that you crossed it hours earlier without a single thing marking the moment. Nobody throws you a party. You almost missed it yourself, and there is something strange about that, about the biggest finish line of your life, arriving with less noise than a birthday, and slowly, one by one, the people who used to look like they were winning start asking you the same question, in a lower voice, almost embarrassed to be asking it out loud at all. Hey, how did you actually do this? You did not escape by working less, or caring less, or being smarter than anyone else in that building. You escaped by playing a game with no scoreboard, where you had to decide what winning even meant. Alone, with nobody clapping for a single move you made along the way. There is a difference between looking like you made it and actually making it. You finally know which one you were chasing the whole time. If any part of this is making sense of something you have been sitting with quietly, send it to the one person you know is still standing right at the edge of it. You are 34. Tyler is on your couch, holding the coffee you made him, and he is asking how you did it. And this time he actually means it. You think about the date you circled 10 years ago, the dinner where you felt like less, the lunch where 2 coworkers quietly pitied you without knowing a single true thing about your life. You think about your thumb hovering over that button in the dark and the smaller apartment where you were certain the whole thing was already over. 3 years ago, sitting in that smaller apartment, you would have sworn it was finished. It turns out that was the exact moment it had already worked, and neither of you knew it yet, including you. You look at Tyler and you tell him the truth. For 10 years, nobody noticed you were winning. Not your friends, not your coworkers, not Tyler. And that is exactly why it worked. Because the race only ends when you stop running it for people who were never actually watching in the first place. Maybe you already left that race. Maybe you are still standing at the edge of it right now, telling yourself you are fine. Maybe you are the one about to fold a piece of paper into a drawer that nobody else will ever see. If you do, nobody is going to notice but you. That was never the tragedy in any of this. That was always the entire point.